Well, hey, SKB family, how you doing? Luke here with you with the Discipleship Coach video for the month of August. Today, I want to chat a bit about discipleship and the current cultural moment we are in. All right, let's start with the current cultural moment we're in and move to discipleship. All right, where are we at right now culturally? Well, as we head to the fall with the new ministry year ahead of us, we are most likely really excited because it seems like COVID's in the rearview mirror. And what I mean by that is I know COVID's still a thing. I know people are still being infected by it. Hospitalizations are still happening and all that. What I mean by COVID is in the rearview mirror. I mean the restrictions that were placed on the church about mask and gathering sizes and all that, that has ended. And so we're really kind of free to get on with ministry in the way that we typically have in the past. And so that's really exciting for us. We're able to move ahead. And I'm excited about that, and I hope you are too. And although COVID's in the rearview mirror when it comes to our ministry year ahead, really the effects of COVID, the effects of the past 18 months are still being felt within the church. What do I mean by that? All right. So the way the church handled COVID, whether you were, pro-mask, pro-following the government rules, or anti-mask and anti-government rules, however you handled it, however you chose to handle it, certain people either aligned with you or didn't align with you. Certain groups of people in your church were either happy with what you're doing or frustrated with what you're doing. And that has an effect up to this point today. Over the past 18 months, we had to deal with racial injustice in the States and the whole George Floyd thing and other issues that were taking place in the States. And as we as churches had to respond to that to some degree. And so people might be frustrated with either how we responded or a lack of response. This past summer in Canada with the unmarked graves and the ugliness of our nation's past coming back up into the news spotlight, and how we respond as churches. Some people might be happy with that. Some people might be frustrated with that. There was a U.S. election. Even though we're not American, for some strange reason, us as Canadians just love American politics, and we're really passionate about American politics. And so, how our churches kind of did the political dance, that might have either made some people happy, made some people mad. And as we look to the fall, there's whispers of a Canadian election, and I just cannot imagine the effect that's going to have on our congregations as we look ahead. And so some of these effects of the past 18 months, although COVID is in some ways behind us, some of these effects are still lingering within our congregations, and it's going to disrupt some of our ministry as we move ahead. And Ed Stetzer was talking about this in a podcast I was listening to a few weeks ago. And in the podcast, he talked about it disrupting our ministry, and he described it as the great sort. What's going to disrupt our ministry is the great sort. What is the great sort? Well, Ed unpacks the great sort as people uprooting their lives from the local church they've been a part of for 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 years. They've been a part of this church, and they love the church, they love the pastor, they love the theology, they align with it every way. But over the past 18 months, the church has taken stances on certain things that does not align with this person's personal political ideologies. And because of that, they have grown frustrated with the church, frustrated with the leadership, frustrated with the pastor, and they decided to move on. And so hundreds and thousands of people are leaving their churches they've been a part of and rescattering across their city to new churches based upon political alignment. So this new great sort is happening, right? This has happened in the past, but most of the time when this happens, it's around theology. It's around, things like gifts of the Spirit, or maybe women in leadership, things like that, not around politics. But now the most important thing when it comes to church affiliation isn't really theology, it's political ideology. And so this is taking place. This is the cultural moment we're in, and maybe we're experiencing this in some of our churches here in Saskatchewan. It definitely is happening in Canada and in the States. And so as Stetzer talks about this disruption hitting our churches, and it's really an effect of the past 18 months. So what does this have to do with discipleship and us here in Saskatchewan? All right, a couple things. A couple reasons why I want to talk about the great sort. Number one, because maybe some of you are experiencing this right now. All right, as we kind of gather our churches together again, in-person gatherings, as we go into towards September, you might be looking around your congregation and asking, where is this couple? Where is this family? Where is this person? I haven't seen them in, 5, 6, 7, 8 months. Maybe you haven't seen them in 18 months. And this might be someone that you love, that you've cared for. They've been a part of your church family for a long time. You've been there through their hardships, through their ups and downs. You've prayed for them. You've cried for them. You love them. You've served them well. And now they are gone. And as you reach out to them to ask, hey, like, what's going on? The response you get is, well, based upon how you responded to COVID, to racial tensions, to politics, whatever it might be that we've experienced for the past 18 months, how you respond to that does not align with what I think is right. And because of that, I'm leaving the church. If you've experienced that, I just want to let you know that you're not alone in that, all right? Don't allow the lies of the enemy to say that this is your fault or this is only something that you're facing. No. This is happening across our nation, across the Western church, really. And there's hundreds, if not thousands, of pastors who are experiencing the same thing. So please know that you're not alone. All right. The second reason why I want to talk about this is the discipleship reason. All right, what this is revealing is some of the challenges that we are facing when it comes to discipling our people. All right, when it comes to seeing their worldviews shaped by Jesus. So what's happening right now is that the majority of our people, their worldview, how they understand the world around them, is not being shaped by Jesus. What this reveals is that their worldview is being shaped by probably a social media feed. All right, let's just be honest about that. The things they're following online, and it's also being shaped by some sort of news influence, whether it's cable news, whether it's their nightly news. In this world that we're in, we're so tribalized, and we get so packed into kind of one viewpoint of how things should be that we begin to see the world, those who do not fit in our tribe, as the enemies. And this is really a discipleship that's taking place of our people. And so we just need to be aware of the challenges that we face as church leaders when it comes to discipling our people. And mainly, I think of this for our church, the church I pastor, is how can I disciple my people so they understand that the main unifying thing for us as followers of Jesus isn't where we align politically, but where we align when it comes to Jesus. Because we've been adopted into God's family, that we are now family members. We're brothers and sisters in Christ. And that is the most important thing about us. Not how you vote, not how you understand COVID, not what you think about vaccines, not what you think about what happened in the States with the racial injustice issues, not that. What's the most important thing about you is that you love Jesus and I love Jesus, and because of that, we are family. How can we begin to disciple our people back to that common understanding, to begin to build unity within the church? Really, when I think about the church, when I think about my church, what I long to see and what I'm praying God does is that we be a church that is diversified, that we have a number of different political views, that we have a number of different cultural backgrounds, a number of different ethnic backgrounds, but in all that difference, we're united in Jesus, and we have a strong bond that can't be ripped apart by the tribalism of our current cultural moment. And that, to get there, that takes deep discipleship. So I just want to encourage you guys, as you pastor and as you lead churches, to really start thinking through, as you head to the fall, how can we really combat the tribalization that's taking place, the political ideologies that's taking place, so that we can find unity in our church around Jesus and Him alone, and that would allow for greater diversity in our church. How can we begin to see that lived out in our church's church life? So that's what I've been thinking through. This might just be random thoughts that I'm rambling on about. I hope not. I hope it really helps maybe spur some conversation on your leadership team, on your pastoral team, on your staff team, and you guys can really think through discipleship in this cultural moment of political ideologies and tribalism. All right? Hey, love you, SKB family. Praying for you. If you have some thoughts on this, shoot me an email. I'd love to talk more about it. Hope you guys are healthy. Hope you're encouraged as you head into the fall, and praying God's blessing on you as we re-engage in ministry in this next ministry year.